I, Martha Johnson, live in a quiet residential area on the outskirts of Columbus, Ohio. Even at 62, I continue to serve as the organist at our local St. Mary's Church. On Sunday mornings, it's my routine to greet neighbors on my way to church. Good morning, Martha. Looking forward to your lovely playing today, Ellen Cooper from next door calls out. Thank you, Ellen. I've prepared something special for today, I reply with an inward smile. Music is my life, and playing at church is a precious bond with the people in this town. When I return home, my daughter Sarah, 35, is preparing breakfast in the kitchen. Welcome back, Mom. How was your performance today? Sarah asks. It went very well. Everyone seemed to enjoy it, I answer, looking around for my grandson Tommy, 8. Is Tommy still sleeping? Yes, he was practicing piano late last night, Sarah replies. Indeed, Tommy is our family's treasure. Despite losing his sight in an accident at the age of 2, he possesses an astonishing musical talent. Every time I hear his piano playing, my heart fills with warmth. Sarah's husband, John, 37, comes down the stairs. Good morning, everyone. Martha, how was your performance today? It was wonderful, John, I reply, watching the happy faces of my family. However, I don't miss the occasional shadows that cross Sarah and John's expressions. Are they remembering Tommy's accident? At breakfast time, Tommy finally wakes up. Good morning, Grandma, he smiles at me. His smile is as bright as the sun, lighting up the whole room. Good morning, Tommy. How was your piano practice yesterday? I ask, and Tommy's face lights up. It was great. I can play the new piece much better now, he answers happily. Our daily lives revolve around Tommy's music. The neighbors also recognize Tommy's talent and often offer words of encouragement. Just the other day, when I met Mrs. Richardson at the supermarket, she said, Martha, I'm looking forward to Tommy's recital. That child's talent is truly special. Indeed, Tommy's talent is special. But more than that, what I'm proud of is his positive attitude and willingness to work hard. Despite losing his sight, he never gives up and puts his all into music. This attitude gives courage and hope not only to our family but to the people in this community. At night, the sound of Tommy playing the piano echoes throughout the house. As I listen to the beautiful melody, I think about his future. Surely, a wonderful life awaits him. Believing this, I vow to continue supporting him. On Tommy's 5th birthday, our family prepared a special gift. We had the old upright piano in the living room professionally tuned. Tommy, happy birthday. This is your present, I said, and Tommy carefully approached the piano and touched the keys. I'll never forget the expression on his face at that moment. It was a radiant look, a mixture of curiosity and joy, as if he had discovered a new world. Grandma, is this a real piano? For me? Tommy asked excitedly. Yes, Tommy. It's a special piano just for you, I answered, and Tommy happily began pressing the keys. From that day on, Tommy's interest in the piano grew stronger day by day. Every day, As soon as he got home from school, he would sit at the piano and play with the sounds. I watched over Tommy's interest and gradually began teaching him the basics of piano. We started with simple scales and gradually progressed to simple tunes. Surprisingly, Tommy's progress was beyond imagination. He quickly memorized the songs I taught him and went on to tackle more difficult pieces. His fingers danced over the keys, producing beautiful melodies. "Martha, Tommy's talent is truly remarkable," Sarah said one day. However, I sensed some complex emotions behind her words. John was the same. "Tommy, you're amazing. But you don't have to push yourself too hard, you know," he said, seeming somewhat uneasy. I was a bit concerned about Sarah and John's reactions, but I decided to focus on nurturing Tommy's talent. I consulted with Mrs. Anderson, the local piano teacher, and decided to have Tommy attend her piano lessons. "Martha, Tommy's talent is truly special," Mrs. Anderson exclaimed in surprise. "His musicality surpasses any student I've ever met." The other students in the class were also amazed by Tommy's performances. Tommy's ability to perfectly play difficult pieces despite his lack of sight was an inspiration to everyone. When Tommy turned 6, at Mrs. Anderson's suggestion, a small recital was organized. On the day of the recital, the community center hall was filled with local people. When it was Tommy's turn, the venue fell silent. Tommy took a deep breath and sat at the piano. Then, he began to play Chopin's Nocturne. As the beautiful melody filled the hall, the audience held their breath. When the performance ended, the venue erupted in applause. Many people stood up, applauding Tommy with tears in their eyes. "Martha, your grandson is a genius," Mrs. Cooper, who was sitting next to me, said excitedly. "I've never seen a child with such wonderful talent before." After the recital, many people began talking about Tommy. A small article about Tommy's talent was even published in the local newspaper. However, amidst the excitement, I was concerned about Sarah and John's behavior. They wore happy expressions, but they also seemed somewhat uneasy. "Mom, Tommy's talent is amazing, isn't it?" Sarah said, but there was a hint of anxiety in her eyes. "Yes, it really is," John agreed, but his voice seemed to be mixed with complex emotions. While I questioned their reactions, I decided to focus on nurturing Tommy's talent. I believed that Tommy's passion and talent for music would surely brighten his future. A few months after Tommy's small recital, I found a flyer for the Ohio Young Musician Competition. This contest is a prestigious event that serves as a big challenge for young musicians in the state. "Tommy, would you like to enter this competition?" I suggested, and Tommy's face lit up. "Really? I'd love to try," he answered excitedly. However, Sarah and John's reactions were complex. "Mom, Tommy is still so young. Isn't it too early for him to enter such a big competition?" Sarah said worriedly. "That's right. Tommy, you don't need to feel pressured," John agreed. However, seeing Tommy's enthusiasm, his parents eventually agreed. And so, we began preparing for the competition. Tommy's practice became more intense than ever. He practiced for an hour before school in the morning, 2 hours after school, and another hour at night, without fail every day. "Grandma, I want to play this part more expressively. How should I do it?" Tommy would ask. I listen carefully to his playing and offer advice. "Well, Tommy, why don't you try playing this part a bit slower and let each note resonate more?" Tommy listens seriously and immediately tries it. His concentration and desire to improve always amaze me. However, as the practice continued, a change appeared in Sarah and John's attitude. The two, who were previously supportive, began to show anxious expressions. "Tommy, why don't you take a break now?" Sarah began to say frequently. "That's right, Tommy. Don't push yourself too hard," John chimed in. I felt uncomfortable with the change in their attitude. Why are they so reluctant when this is a chance to develop Tommy's talent? One night, I overheard Sarah and John's hushed conversation. "John, is this really okay?" "Tommy is." "I know, Sarah." But at this point, their conversation was fragmented, and I couldn't catch everything, but I felt there was some serious secret. As the competition approached, Tommy's anxiety also grew. "Grandma, do you think I can play well?" he asked worriedly. "You'll be fine, Tommy. You've practiced enough. Have confidence," I encourage him. However, the atmosphere in the family became more tense day by day. Sarah and John began to show guilty expressions whenever they saw Tommy practicing. "Tommy, you've practiced enough. Why don't you take a break?" Sarah would say. "That's right. Why don't you try getting interested in something other than music?" John would suggest. Tommy looked confused. "But I like the piano. I want to enter the competition." I didn't understand the cause of this family tension. Why can't they wholeheartedly rejoice in their son's great success? Are they hiding something? On the night before the competition, we had dinner as a family. The atmosphere around the table was heavy, with little conversation. "Tomorrow is a big day, Tommy," I said, and Tommy nodded nervously. "Yes, Tommy. Do your best," John said, but his voice lacked energy. Sarah remained silent, continuing her meal. In my heart, doubts grew larger and larger. Does this family have some serious secret? And is it somehow related to Tommy's talent? When we got home, I made up my mind. I must find out the truth from Sarah and John soon. For Tommy's sake, and for our family's sake. The day after the competition, a celebration for Tommy's victory was to be held at the local community center. I headed to the center early in the morning to help with the preparations. "Martha, congratulations. Tommy's talent is truly amazing," Mrs. Cooper called out to me. "Thank you. This result is thanks to everyone's support," I replied. The venue was decorated with handmade banners and Tommy's photos, creating a celebratory atmosphere. Tables were laid out with cakes and snacks donated by the local bakery. At 2 p.m., the victory celebration began. People from the community, Tommy's school friends, and teachers arrived one after another. Everyone offered warm words to Tommy, praising his talent. "Tommy, your performance was truly wonderful. I'm looking forward to your future activities." Tommy responded to people's words a bit shyly, but happily. However, I was concerned about Sarah and John's behavior. The two were standing in a corner of the venue, looking uneasy. Occasionally, they would look at Tommy with anxious eyes. As the celebration reached its midpoint, the host encouraged Tommy to give a speech. "Now, let's hear a few words from our winner, Tommy." As the venue fell silent, Tommy stood in front of the microphone. He took a deep breath and began to speak. "Everyone, thank you for coming today. I'm truly happy about this victory." Tommy paused for a moment, and then continued with unexpected words. "But there's something I need to tell you all. Actually, the reason I became blind." Tension ran through the venue. I could see Sarah and John's faces turning pale. Actually, it wasn't an accident. My parents intentionally. The sudden confession threw the venue into chaos. People raised voices of surprise, looking at each other. My parents deliberately injured my eyes to make me famous. Tommy's words plunged the venue into complete confusion. People raised voices of anger and surprise, and some even began to cry. I was in a state of shock, looking at Sarah and John. The two were pale-faced and trembling. Suddenly, Sarah cried out, "No. That's not." However, her words were drowned out by the commotion in the venue. The next moment, I saw Sarah and John running towards the exit of the venue. Instinctively, I stood in their way. "Wait. Running away won't solve anything." At my voice, the two stopped. Sarah collapsed in tears, and John stood dazed. At that time, someone seemed to have called the police, as the sound of sirens could be heard. The police arrived and began to assess the situation. The officers are trying to calm the chaotic venue. "Everyone, please calm down. We'll hear the details of the situation." A police officer raised his voice. Tommy quietly approached the police officer and began to tell his story. Sarah and John, accompanied by another police officer, are being questioned in a corner of the venue. I stood by Tommy's side and put my arm around his shoulders. "It's okay, Tommy. No one will hurt you anymore." Tommy nodded slightly and leaned against me. A heavy atmosphere hangs over the venue. People are watching the development of the situation with expressions mixing surprise, sadness, and anger. Mrs. Cooper approached me. "Martha, it must have been hard. Is there anything I can do to help?" "Thank you. For now, I just want to stay by Tommy's side," I answered. The police decided to take Sarah and John to the station. As the two got into the police vehicle, I watched with complex emotions. Anger, sadness, and a strange emptiness fill my heart. The victory celebration ended in a way no one had expected. People quietly left the venue, but with great shock. I hugged Tommy and began preparing to go home. The days ahead will certainly not be easy. However, Now that the truth has come to light, we must take a new step forward. What will Tommy's brave confession bring to our family? The answer is not yet visible. I only clearly decided in my heart to continue protecting and supporting Tommy. Several days have passed since the victory celebration, and a full-scale police investigation has begun. Tommy and I have visited the police station several times to respond to inquiries. Why did you stay silent until now? When the detective asked Tommy, he answered in a small voice, "My parents threatened that if I talked, they would put me in an institution. But after winning the competition, I gained confidence. I thought I didn't need to hide anymore." Hearing these words, my heart ached. At the same time, I felt deep respect for Tommy's courage. Sarah and John were arrested and charged with child abuse. Their goal was to present Tommy as a child prodigy pianist with a disability and gain financial benefits. Knowing this fact, I felt my chest would burst with anger and sadness. The local community showed surprisingly strong support. Many people are trying to help Tommy, offering free counseling and legal assistance. "Martha, please let us know if you need anything. Let's all support Tommy together," Mrs. Cooper said. Tommy had complex feelings towards his parents. "Grandma, do I hate my parents? Or do I love them? I'm confused," he said, crying, and I hugged him tightly. "Either is fine, Tommy. All your feelings are valid." As time passed, changes gradually appeared in our lives. Tommy has started receiving psychotherapy and is making efforts to face his emotions. Sarah and John also seem to be spending days of reflection in prison. A letter from them arrived for Tommy. "Tommy, we're truly sorry. We did something unforgivable. We're so sorry for hurting you." Tommy read the letter over and over, and it seemed that feelings of forgiveness towards his parents were slowly growing. "Grandma, I want to go see Dad and Mom someday," Tommy said, and I felt his growth. Sarah and John are also earnestly working on rehabilitation programs while serving their sentences. I received a report from their lawyer that the two are sincerely repentant and want to engage in community service activities after their release. We are now exploring a new form of family. Tommy and I, and hopefully in the future including the rehabilitated Sarah and John, are hoping to build new bonds. "Tommy, your life from now on will surely be wonderful. Your music should give hope to many people," I said to Tommy. Tommy answered with a bright smile, "Yes, Grandma. I'll do my best. I want to make people happy with my music." Having overcome this hardship, our family has become stronger. Tommy's talent and courage, and the warm support of the people around us. All of these are our hope for the future. The road ahead will certainly not be smooth. However, we are determined to move forward step by step, believing in the power of love and forgiveness. I sincerely hope that the beautiful music Tommy plays will